Once again, welcome to another audio segment version of the original male edition. The Jake Hollow Guide on How to Persuade Women. Chapter 8. Disbelief. You will never find time for anything. If you want time, you must make it. Charles Buxton. I have met women in so many different situations. Being straightforward was and still is the way I work. Let me share with you a few of the adventures I have had. One night, I was at a club and I sat down for a drink, while waiting for some friends to join me. I noticed two very beautiful women, who sat 2 stools away from me. They seemed to take good care of themselves. They seemed confident and proud of their slim legs and slender ankles, in addition to being a perfect size too. Their hair had a glossy shade, and it bounced when they walked. They were both blondes with highlights, wearing short red Dior, which flattered them, with a simple strand of ruby necklaces on their throats. One had diamond earrings, the other big gold loop earrings. One had a single diamond solitaire on her ring finger, and the other had a single ruby on hers. They both sat down with their chins tilted upward, as though balancing something very small and light. They had perfectly sculpted noses. Even with all my observation of them, I did not show that I had any interest in them, as most other men were doing from the moment they walked into the room. I never outwardly showed that I was interested in meeting them, or even introducing myself to them. I lifted my head up slightly, but without really looking at them, and said, "Sorry ladies, I am not trying to hit on you both, and I know you must hear this a lot, but just in case you are not tired of it, you are both very beautiful, well manicured, and dress yourselves in style." I went back to my drink and I did not look back at them for their responses. The second girl, on my left, responded, "Thank you. I hate to disappoint you, but we are lesbians." I raised my head and finally looked them both in the eyes, looking confused, and asked them, "What is a lesbian?" The first woman seemed surprised, and asked, "Are you serious?" I nodded with my head, "Yes." Her friend continued, "It means that we do not date or go out or sleep with men, but that we only date and sleep with women." At that moment, I put my head down again. With my hands, I slapped my forehead in disbelief. The first woman looked at me, confused, and then asked, "What's wrong?" I replied, shaking and lifting my head, looking at them both in the eyes, saying, "God no, this must mean that I am also a lesbian, because I only date and sleep with women and not men." The two women started to laugh, while I stayed serious with a small smirk. To make a long story short, we broke the ice, and as a result then they took me home for a pleasant night. Section 1. Say Italiano. The next story I am going to tell you is about a business trip I took to Manhattan, New York City, where I stayed at a nice 4-star hotel. The hotel I was staying at with my friends had a big lobby, with high vaulted ceilings supported by marble columns. I was wandering around the hotel looking at things, and then sat down to watch people while opening my newspaper. I was sitting downstairs in the lounge, waiting for my friends to come down from our room, so that we could go out for a bite, to eat and then go clubbing. The lobby was wide and not far from the registration desk. While I was reading the paper and checking out people coming into the hotel, I heard a lovely, soft, exotic voice on my right. I turned and noticed a beautiful dark-haired woman from the corner of my eye speaking perfect Italian to someone. She was breathtakingly beautiful with an innocent look, long, dark, thick, wavy hair, olive-toned skin, crystal blue cat-like eyes, and long, slender legs. She was in her early 20s, and her beauty would have been the envy of any fashion model. She wore a blue and yellow tight-fitting designer t-shirt, black jeans that looked like they were painted on her, and black boots. She looked like the kind of woman that only a Hollywood star would have around his arms, to boost his self-image. Her accent was erotic, sexy, and very soft, at the same time strong, so I could tell she did not really speak English very much, but mostly Italian. She passed right by me. I said in a low-toned voice, but at the same time making sure she could hear me, without even looking at her, "Say Italiano?" Translates to, "You're Italian?" She stopped and looked at me all confused, while I continued with, "Mi scusi, Ma non poteva fare nulla di ascoltarmi, voi parlate la mia lingua. Translates to, I'm sorry, but I could not help listening to you speak, but you are speaking in my language. At this moment, I was looking at her straight in the eyes, when she responded, "Sì lo sono, Italiano, arriva, da Napoli." Translates to, why yes I am Italian, I have just arrived from Naples. When I saw her up close, I was stunned. She was radiant. I loved her strong Italian accent, her name, her eyes, and her smile. She looked directly at me and gave me a firm handshake, something I like in a woman. So many women feel it is feminine to offer a limp hand. I introduced myself while holding onto her hand, and kissed the back of it. I added that if she ever required help, in any way, she should call me, since we are both from the same country. She laughed. What a beautiful young woman, I thought. It had been a long time since I had felt awkward as well as shy around a girl. I told her, and this took me totally by surprise, that my mother was from Dugenta, a city next to Naples. As we strolled and talked, I didn't know where to look, and I was self-conscious about where to put my hands. Should I keep them in my pockets? Should I let them hang free? Should I let them swing? Would she rather sit down, watch people, or window shop? I asked her about herself and where she studied, what she was interested in. She told me about her family, friends, education, and I was impressed at how smart, articulate, and mature she seemed. This was a woman I could be interested in. However, she lived on the other side of the world, and was certainly a few years younger than I was. In the meantime, she wanted to know about my life and career. I told her anything she asked, but little more, because I wanted to keep myself a mystery. When the conversation lulled, she caught me gazing at her, and I looked away. When I looked back, she was looking at me. We smiled shyly. This is crazy, I thought. I was dying to know if she was seeing anyone seriously, but I was not about to ask. Her questions were more along the line of a young person asking a professional about his career. She seemed to envy my travel and experience. I toned it down. She asked me if I was involved with anyone. I was glad she had asked this, and I was happy to tell her, no, I had never really been serious enough with anyone. Then I asked her if she was involved with anyone. She laughed and told me, only one steady guy, when I was a teen. I told her he must have been blind to let her go. She blushed. To make a long story short, I convinced her to have dinner with me the following night. She told me she was there for only 5 days, on a modeling shoot for Calvin Klein. I let her know that I was there also on business, and some pleasure afterwards with some friends. The next evening, I received a message at the front desk saying that she had to cancel our dinner because of a shoot. I was disappointed. But the front desk clerk added that she would be at the club with some of the other models and staff, and that if I wanted to join them with my friends, she had put us down on the guest list. That night I did show up with my friends, and when she saw me, she had a big smile and greeted me with a huge hug, as if she had known me for years. She kissed me on my cheeks. When her friends saw that, they automatically accepted my friends and I into their circle. To make another long story short, I ended up being sexually intimate with her friends for the next few nights. Yes, back then I was a jerk. On the last 3 nights, she asked me why I did not once try to take advantage of her, as I did with the other supermodels. I explained that she was special and not like them. That night, we finally slept together, and as a result it was the most amazing night I had. She washes her hands, powders her arms, removes her clothes, and approaches my bed to lie down on top of me with her small arms and long shapely legs and with her tiny flat belly and fragrant mouth. She is beautiful, she is shy and quiet, she bathes each morning, afternoon, and evening for the last 3 days. She rinses her hands and washes her feet more often than that, and scrupulously cleans and perfumes beneath her arms each time, before she draws near to feed me, cover me, or lie with me. She was slight, delicate in body, and very young, with a smooth and dusky complexion, glossy, straight wavy dark brown hair combed downward and rolling outward at her shoulders into an even curl, and very large, inviting cat's eyes with huge white and crystal blue irises. She knew what she wanted, and she seemed to know how to get it. She had an air of innocence and a fluttering distraction. God knows I slept and fought plenty, and had a rousing good time doing both until I felt in love, and everything took a turn for the worse. I certainly know I was always a vigorous, courageous, and enterprising soul, overflowing with all the lusty emotions and desires of life until that day. I do not like to boast. I know I boast a bit, when I say I do not have to boast. However, I love women, the way they smell, and the taste of their young skin. She was a luscious young woman, but, had I really earned the pleasure of her company? She knew much about making love, but not much about men. Making love to her again and again, and holding her in my arms until I could not hold her longer yet could not bear separating from her, that was my second biggest mistake. I love my women in red, crimson, blue, yellow and black, and I love scarlet lipstick, azure eyeshadow, dark mascara, false long eyelashes, and long false fingernails. I love long shapely legs and mini skirts or mini dresses. Where I go from here is now a mystery. I cannot and I will most likely never weaken myself in those two manners ever again, but I have no regrets, for it has made me stronger in who I am now. There was a time that I could not stop touching her once I began. I could not help staring at her. I could not help wanting her. This was love. I soaked her up, I could not stop breathing her in. I could not stop looking at her. I wanted to make love to her every day. I was starving. This is what I want to remember her by. The last day she told me she had to go, and asked if she could tell me something without me thinking she was weird. I responded with, "Yes, you may," while I smiled and tilted my head. She smiled back and said, "I was just going to say that I like the way you say my name." I took her hand, kissed it while staring deep into her eyes, and said, "It's been wonderful spending time with you." She chuckled, as if embarrassed about what she was thinking. She said, "I feel stupid, I just met you and I'm really gonna miss you. If you get to Italy again, you have to call me." "It's a promise," I said. My point as to why I kept her last was if I had her first, the chances were I would never have gotten her friends, or have her more interested in me. Most of you guys want what others want, to draw that sexy woman closer, and make her hungry to possess you. You must create an aura of desirability, of being wanted as well as courted. It is a point of vanity for her, to be the preferred object of your attention, to win you away from a crowd of admirers. Manufacture the illusion of popularity by surrounding yourself with members of the opposite sex, friends and former lovers. Create angles that stimulate rivalry in addition raising your value. Build a reputation that precedes you. Section 2. Picasso. My next story happened when I was in my early 20s, and boy, do I have more besides this one. Let me tell you this one, though. There were two heavy-set brothers, that weighed about 300 pounds each. After clubbing, I would often go to this 24-hour restaurant. There, I told the brothers that their favorite server wanted to sleep with me. To be honest, though, I was only being a guy and playing around, and did not really mean it. I did not expect, however, that these two took me seriously, and would tell the waitress what I said after I left. The next night, I was out with my friends clubbing downtown and having a great time. At 4 a.m., I got hungry and went to my favorite 24-hour restaurant. I was dressed sharply in a suit and tie. I walked in and waved to everyone. I then heard a voice calling me. It was loud and sounded very upset, yelling, "You! I want to talk to you about a rumor I heard." I looked and saw that it was the waitress with the two brothers on their stool sitting behind her. They were holding onto a small teddy bear and smirking at me. I told myself right away just to relax, take a deep breath, don't play into their game, and be honest by not playing with her feelings, or it would just add fuel to her fire. I calmly walked right up to her, and let her talk first before I said anything. She asked me in a very angry, upset voice while looking me straight in the eyes. "Did you tell certain people that I wanted to sleep with you?" I looked straight back at her, and calmly responded, "I apologize if I have offended or upset you in any way. However, I truly believe that you are interested in sleeping with me. I am also very sorry that whoever told you this had no class, and took what I said so seriously, because if I knew that this would upset you, I would not have said anything." This took her off guard and calmed her down. She was expecting me to deny it. She may have hoped for a confrontation, but got the opposite. Instead, I told her my version of the truth and explained myself. The gamble was telling her I believed she wanted me, when I had no clue if that was true or not. I took the control out of her hands, and this calmed her down. Not only did I earn a free meal out of it, I went to the two brothers and told them, if the stools were not cemented to the ground, I would kick both of you off them, so that you both would be lying down on your fat ass. I also added, "You guys may have given her a teddy bear, but now I will truly sleep with her because of you." She slept with me the next night. These are certain ways to persuade women. Even if you are telling the truth, if she begins to doubt it, your chances of persuading her will fall like a rock. Never tell her more than you think she will believe. If you cannot make her believe it, you had better temper your claims. I used to write to Penthouse letters about my sexual adventures from 1998 to around 2007, with more details to my stories. Penthouse letters would change my name and city, so that the readers who read the stories did not see the same guy writing about his adventures. They would edit it a little or add to the original stories. I even wrote a few adventures that Roman Brave and I had with women whom we contaminated into our sexual lifestyle. Roman has now become more like I was when I was blunt and direct, from playing with women emotion. I, on the other hand, have no time for these games anymore. I am now more interested in training people, and in finding my kindred spirit for my own happiness. End of Chapter 8. Disbelief. Stay tuned for Chapter 9.